The best-selling vehicle in Brazil is not a car. It is not a pickup truck. It is a small, air-cooled motorcycle called the Honda CG160. And in the first 10 months of 2025, Brazilians registered nearly 400,000 of them, more than any car, more than any truck. Across Latin America, Africa, and South Asia, machines like this one are how hundreds of millions of people get to work, deliver food, and carry a family. And the version that actually tops the sales charts in this world costs around $2,000, sometimes less. Now try to buy one in the United States. You cannot. Not because American riders tested it and rejected it, not because of some tariff war. The most rational motorcycle on Earth is locked out of the world's richest market by a door most riders do not even know exists. So in the next few minutes, we are going to do two things. First, we will map what this machine actually costs across the world's major markets. Then we will open that locked door and show you exactly what is holding it shut. Start with the machine itself, because it deserves more respect than it gets. The Bajaj Boxer CT100 is a 100 cubic centimeter, air-cooled single with a steel frame, wire spoke wheels, and almost nothing on it that can fail expensively. In Colombia, a brand new Boxer lists for roughly 5.5 million pesos. That is about $1,400 for a new motorcycle with a factory warranty. And Colombians have made it the best-selling motorcycle in their country's history. It returns fuel economy that manufacturers advertise in hundreds of kilometers per gallon. It survives cratered mountain roads, and when something wears out, the replacement part is sitting on a shelf in the next town, not in a warehouse 2 weeks away. Step up the ladder and the story holds. Honda's CG160, built in Manaus, starts at 16,770 reais in Brazil. Call it $3,000. The Bajaj Pulsar, the sportier mid-tier machine, has made Peru one of the largest Pulsar import markets on the planet because delivery riders and moto-taxi operators discovered it could take 100 miles of rough pavement a day without eating its owner's profits. Riders in Bogota report that a clutch replacement on the leading Indian brands runs about $25, done the same day at a neighborhood shop. The same job on a comparable Japanese machine can cost several times that, often with a wait for parts. Multiply that gap across 5 years of daily riding, and it stops being a detail. It becomes the whole decision. This is a world where the motorcycle is not a hobby. It is the tool that earns the household's income, and it gets chosen the way a carpenter chooses a saw. And the scale of this world is staggering. Colombia crossed 1 million new motorcycle registrations in 2025 for the first time in its history, up 33% in a single year, and the top-selling brand in the country was not Japanese. It was Bajaj from Pune, India. India as a whole exported a record 4.3 million motorcycles in 2025, up 27%, with Bajaj alone accounting for 1.9 million of them, and its humble Boxer leading the entire 100cc export class. Bajaj did not stop at shipping bikes. It opened a factory in Manaus, in the middle of the Brazilian Amazon, rolled its 10,000th motorcycle off that line within 7 months, and is now tripling the plant's capacity. In Brazil, motorcycles made up 43% of every vehicle sold in 2025. Not 43% of two-wheelers, 43% of all vehicles. And before anyone concludes that cheap simply wins, this market already ran that experiment, and it failed. Over the past 2 decades, more than 160 Chinese motorcycle brands flooded Latin America with machines priced as low as $800. Most of those brands are gone. Frames cracked under load, replacement parts vanished when factories closed or pivoted, and riders who depended on their bikes for income learned a hard lesson. An unrepairable motorcycle is not a bargain. It is a layoff. The brands that own this market today did not win on price alone. They won on price plus support. trained mechanics, manuals in Spanish, and a shelf of cheap parts in every small town. Hold on to that lesson, because in a few minutes, it is going to explain America. Which brings us to the comfortable explanation for why none of this reaches America. You have heard it. Americans simply do not want small motorcycles. And there is a real cultural truth buried in there. In the United States, a motorcycle is a statement. It is a cruiser in the garage, a weekend identity, a machine whose seriousness is measured in engine displacement in chrome. A 100 cubic centimeter commuter reads as the bike you settle for, not the bike you choose. But hold that explanation up to the light and it falls apart, because preference cannot explain total absence. American riders never rejected the Boxer. It was never on the menu. There is no tariff with its name on it, no law that bans it. So if the riders did not refuse it, and Congress did not refuse it, what did? 3 mechanisms. This is the part of the story almost nobody explains. Mechanism 1 is certification. Every motorcycle sold for road use in the United States must earn federal emissions certification from the Environmental Protection Agency, meet California's separate and stricter standards if it wants the largest state market, and comply with federal safety requirements covering everything from brake performance to the position of its controls. Those costs are largely fixed per model. Testing, engineering changes, documentation, legal exposure. Spread across a $15,000 touring bike selling in volume, they vanish into the price. Spread across a $2,000 commuter that earns its maker a razor-thin margin on each unit, the arithmetic collapses. The bike is not banned. It is priced out of legality before a single customer ever sees it. Mechanism 2 is the dealer floor. An American franchise dealership carries real estate, trained technicians, financing costs on every unit sitting in the showroom. That structure feeds on margin, and there is no margin in a $1,400 motorcycle that can cover it. Worse, the very thing that conquered Latin America, thousands of local service points with cheap parts on the shelf, does not exist in America and cannot be built for a machine with no installed base, no service network, no buyers, no service network. The door locks itself. Mechanism 3 is the definition. American motorcycling is organized around recreation, long-term financing, and displacement as status. A market that measures seriousness in cubic centimeters will file the world's most purchased motorcycles under toys, when they are precisely the opposite. They are the least toy-like motorcycles ever built. If you want proof that this barrier is structural and not a matter of will, test it against the one company holding every advantage. Honda is the largest motorcycle manufacturer on Earth, moving roughly 20 million machines a year. Honda builds the CG160. Honda already owns the American certification expertise, the legal department, and a dealer network across the country. If any company could put the world's motorcycle in an American showroom tomorrow, it is Honda, and Honda does not do it. Because even for Honda, a $3,000 workhorse cannot pay American certification bills, cannot feed an American dealer's floor plan, and cannot park next to a Goldwing without confusing everything the brand charges a premium for. When the best positioned player on the board declines the move, the problem is not the player, it is the board. So the phrase "America refuses" turns out to be true, but the refusal was never held by riders. It is held by a certification ledger, a franchise spreadsheet, and a definition of what a motorcycle is for. That is our position. And it matters, because it changes what happens next. And here is the detail that captures the whole strange picture. On February 2nd, 2026, Polaris completed the sale of its majority stake in Indian Motorcycle, the century-old American brand, to a Los Angeles private equity firm called Carolwood. The brand had drifted to about 7% of Polaris revenue. So in the same season that manufacturers from India shipped a record 4.3 million motorcycles and reshaped an entire hemisphere, the American brand named Indian was quietly handed off by its own parent company. If you want one image of the gap between how America defines a motorcycle and how the rest of the world uses one, that is it. But the door is not sealed forever. It has a price, and we can now read it precisely. Royal Enfield, the Indian manufacturer that just crossed 1 million motorcycles sold globally in a single year, brought its Himalayan 450 to America the legal way. Full federal certification, a real dealer network, a liquid-cooled 452 cubic centimeter single you can service with ordinary tools, and a base price of $5,999. That number is the answer to this entire video. The world's $2,000 philosophy, durable, simple, ownable, crosses the American border at roughly 3 times its home price. The difference is not padding. It buys emissions compliance, crashworthiness paperwork, a warranty that means something, and a dealer who answers the phone. Those are real things. But be clear about what you are paying for. You are paying the toll on the locked door. So who should actually walk through it? If you ride to work every day, if you are a new rider who refuses to start adult life with a 6-year loan on a chrome statement, or if you simply want a machine you can maintain in your own driveway without proprietary diagnostic software, the Himalayan and the machines now following it are the closest America gets to the world's motorcycle. And in our view, that is where this story goes. The $2,000 bike itself is never coming here. The mathematics of certification and dealer economics forbid it, and no amount of rider enthusiasm changes a fixed cost. What crosses the border instead is the philosophy, arriving at $5,000 to $7,000 and quietly finding the American riders who always needed a tool more than a trophy. Latin America did not settle for these machines. It understood them. A continent did the math on price, parts, fuel, and downtime, and reached a verdict that 50 years of brand loyalty could not overturn. America has not been offered the same math yet. But for the first time, the numbers are starting to appear on the window sticker, and the riders doing that math are getting younger every year. The most important motorcycle in the world has never been sold in America. The idea behind it just arrived. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want more of these deep dives, and tell us in the comments which machine you want us to open the vault on next.